please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You can't receive, but I see you have a piece of paper with you. You can't testify from anything but your memory.
I folded it over just to take notes.
Well, you don't need to take notes. We just put it back on your council table. Council can't do anything that they didn't look at. All right. Mr. Burre?
Thank you, Your Honor. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Derek Utt. I reside at 1405 Laura Avenue here in Lancaster, Ohio. Apartment B as in boy.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Utt?
I'm a journeyman glass former at Anchor Hawk.
How long have you worked there?
I've been there about 10 of the last 15 years.
How do you know Principal Burre?
I first met Mr. Burre while he was a football coach at Lancaster High School. I was attending through sophomore to senior year, 2000 to 2003-ish.
So you were a student?
Correct.
Did you play football for Mr. Burre?
He was a coach on the team. He wasn't my specific position coach, but he was on the faculty.
Okay. And what was your interaction with him then?
He would be at games, practices, locker rooms. He'd be around.
And since that time, what has your interaction been with him?
I didn't really have any interactions with him. In November of 2021, my children were taken through a court order that was gained ex parte. I made contact with him after that because I had to meet with a counselor who reported me to Children's Services that was his subordinate, and I reached out to him and asked him to be in the room when I met with this lady because we were familiar with each other and I wanted a familiar person in the room.
Okay, so you asked for his help?
I just asked for him to be there.
Okay.
Because he has history of my family knowledge. He has knowledge of my family history with my children, and his wife being a CPS director, that was a he misled the court earlier saying that he had no knowledge of my children or that stuff, because he did, and that was why I asked him to be there that day.
All right, and was he helpful that day?
It was a pretty brief meeting. The lady was not sure why I was there. She was quite perplexed why a parent that was just reported to CPS would want to meet with the person that reported him. He did kind of mediate a little bit. We actually talked about some of my family history, which is makes it even weirder why he would claim that he didn't have any knowledge of it. But yeah, it was helpful to have him there, I think, just to have a third party in the room.
And let's fast forward a little bit. What are your signs about?
My signs are to bring attention to local injustices going on in the Fairfield County court system, mainly to do with cover of law violations in this court and the prosecutor's office and the sheriff's and police offices too.
And you have people that follow your cause, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And are they an armed militia?
I wouldn't specifically say it like that, especially people that follow this cause. I did used to deal in guns and things like that, and I did sell a lot of guns, all prior to 2016, so nothing of recent.
Have you ever assaulted anybody?
No.
Have you ever been arrested for assault?
I don't believe so.
Okay. And you've been on the radio with this cause, correct?
Yeah, actually I was invited on the radio, correct.
Okay. And to your knowledge, have any of your followers ever harmed anybody?
No, not to my knowledge.
What do your followers generally do?
They reshare my posts quite a bit. Some of them have donated to help purchase signs or wristbands to spread awareness. Some of them have joined some of the other support groups that I'm in. I'm in quite a few for like father's rights and those types of things. So they get involved in that kind of stuff. There's been some screenings. There was a movie made, a documentary here about Fairfield County. They came to that, shared that, supported that. So yeah, they just kind of share information and help spread awareness.
Do they post signs for you?
They do post signs on their own sometimes, yes. Not particularly for me. I've actually had a lot of these signs stolen, so I've actually told people to stop trying to post them publicly, and more am advising them to keep them behind glass. Is the best place to keep them at this point, because I'm talking 500-600 signs that have been stolen over the past 2-3 months.
Have you had an occasion where you had to file a police report?
Many police reports.
And those police reports were for what?
Theft of property. A lot of the signs have been fitted with GPS trackers. They've been tracked to thieves' homes. Yeah, there's been an overwhelming amount of thefts, and the police are not willing to investigate, even when the GPS tracker is live and at somebody's residence. They're unwilling to help, which just furthers the color of law violations going on with this case.
Let's talk about the one day that was brought up that you drove by the school. It's exhibit 10. Can I approach you on? You recognize this photo?
I do, just from the exhibits on the desk earlier.
And is that your van that's on that photo?
It is. It looks like I'm going eastbound on the lane coming down the high school.
And is that road, to your knowledge, a public access road?
Yeah, that's most definitely a public access road.
Was this prior to the police report and you being trespassed?
I believe this was the day I was trespassed, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure.
Did you do anything or say anything that would cause concern?
No,
as
you can see, my window's rolled up in that picture. As I demonstrated to the police officer that pulled me over, my horn is inoperable and doesn't work. So there's no possible way that I drove by and screamed any obscenities or honked anything. I just drove by that day. I was waiting to pick up my younger son and had concluded business at the courthouse. So I think I was wasting time. I took 2 or 3 laps around, would have been High Street, 37, back to Fair, and then back around.
So these are signs you put on your van, is that correct?
Correct.
Are they the same signs that we've seen pictures of in the other Facebook posts?
Yes, there was.
And are those signs meant to be a threat to Mr. Burre?
They're meant to spread awareness to the situation of the individual signs. There's a few of them on there.
So I'm going to ask that again. Do you intend these signs in any way to be a threat towards Mr. Burre or his family?
No.
Okay. I want to point you to Exhibit 22. Now approach again, Your Honor. I'm going to do this a few times. Do you recognize that picture right there?
I actually don't. I haven't seen that one.
Are those the signs that you have made?
Yeah, those are some of the signs that I've had printed off.
Did you post those signs on that
No.
Lancaster High School signboard?
No, not me personally. I did not. I didn't instruct anybody.
Do you know who did?
No, I don't.
How many of these signs do you give to other people?
Hundreds. I actually have them sitting out on my front porch for free to anybody that wants them. And I also have numerous posts asking people to shoot me their address if they want them, and I'll deliver them in person. And so over the past few months, I've distributed hundreds.
Exhibit 23. You recognize that picture?
I do not.
Do you know who took the picture?
I do not.
Is that one of your signs on there?
It appears so.
I noticed your sign is in red lettering.
Yes.
Is there a particular meaning for the red lettering on the sign?
It's bright and it stands out the best. It's attention grabbing.
The two circle spray paints that the petitioner has stated he feels like are blood or bullet holes.
So some of those signs have holes or dots put on them, and that was an artistic expression one of the Lancaster High School students thought of, and I thought it looked good for what the sign was trying to accomplish, which is people, noticing it and drawing attention to the sign, and people, want to encourage them into looking into these signs and what they mean so they can investigate on their own and come to their own conclusions.
Do you intend those dots to mean anything other than artistic expression?
No, just that and, bright color, attention grabbing.
Do you recognize that?
I recognize where the signs are put up because I put them up.
For the record, what are we looking at?
Exhibit 5, I'm sorry, Your Honor.
So I didn't take this picture, and this is the first time I've seen it from being in an exhibit, but yeah, I'm familiar.
I know it's hard to make out, but are those your signs that are posted?
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember putting them up there.
And is this your writing up here on this Facebook post?
Yeah, I definitely made that post.
Can you tell me about the last sentence there? Can you read that for the court?
Yeah, so it says, Ditmar Sales is the place to buy them, in reference to guns and ammo. I was invited over here. This gentleman reached out to me, asked me for some of my signs. I was happy to oblige.
When you say the gentleman, who are you referring to?
The owner of Ditmar Sales, his name's Mike.
Is that near Ditmar Sales?
Yeah, it's right in there. That's their property. So he asked me to come there and put the signs up. And when I did, I noticed that they sold guns and ammo, and I honestly got kind of excited about it. I didn't even know they sold guns and ammo. But that was the post.
Exhibit 3, Your Honor. You recognize that post?
I do. I don't think this was a post. I think this was just me commenting on a post, though. I don't know if I shared this or if it was just my comment on a post somebody else shared.
So to your knowledge, there was more to this?
Yeah, I definitely wrote that, though. Not all heroes wear capes. That was what I wrote on it.
And were you responding to someone else that's not attached to this exhibit?
Yeah, I believe this was a case in Maryland. It involved some unethical things that were going on, and there was an alleged assault. That's about it.
Okay. So Exhibit 3 is not a direct, like this wasn't a primary post?
No, I think that was just something I commented on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I'm going to take several exhibits up so I can go through them for time, if that's okay.
That's fine.
I can get through these. Thank you. You recognize Exhibit 1?
Yes. Yeah, this was a Malcolm X quote that I shared, and then there was some me talking about the case and what I plan to do as far as hiring an investigative team.
Threatened Mr. Burre in that post?
No, I don't believe so.
Did you intend to threaten Mr. Burre in that post?
No.
What is the purpose of you writing about the case?
To bring awareness to the public that these atrocities and color of law violations have taken place and are still going on and being covered up actively.
Exhibit 2, same thing. Do you recognize that?
I do. This was a post that I made. It says July 29th, 2023, but I think this was much more recent.
Is that a reply to somebody or is that a direct post?
I It reads like it's a direct post, but again, I think the time frames off on that are not correct, to my knowledge.
All right. Exhibit 4. You recognize that, those pictures?
Yeah, that's a bunch of pictures of my van, taken before it was vandalized.
When was your van vandalized?
I'd have to look up the police reports, but a lot of the signs have been stolen off my van several times over the past 6 months, I'd say.
Who pays for these signs that you make?
I do.
Do you give them out for free?
Correct.
And then I want you to pay attention to this picture right here. That's in the Exhibit 4. Who is that right there?
That is my youngest son, Camden, and then my oldest son, Jackson, and my daughter, Ella. We are holding fish in the Kenai River.
And what does that sign say? You can't, it's cut off, but what does the whole sign say?
It says, "Fathers have rights too," at the top, and then at the bottom there's a hashtag that says "Remove Cleary."
Okay. Who's Cleary?
Cleary is the newly appointed magistrate in domestic relations here in Fairfield County.
Okay.
She's the magistrate that gave the order to take my children in retaliation for me having this man's counsel removed from a hearing. The attorney that represented the serial rapist in juvenile court is also the attorney that filed the complaint that removed my children in domestic relations court.
All right.
Objection, Your Honor. Move to strike.
Hold on. Is that,
Your Honor, these are directly from the pictures that they have of Facebook that references those things. They've introduced it. All I'm doing is expounding.
I'm objecting to the additional commentary by the witness that was non-responsive to the exhibit.
yeah, I'll go ahead and strike that last sentence from the record about the magistrate.
So the basis of those signs is,
We need justice. We need an investigation. We need somebody from outside Ohio to investigate this stuff.
all right, look at Exhibit 6.
So this was, I actually posted this. It had a GPS tracker in it, and I put this out in hopes that they would come steal it. And they did. It got stolen right away, and I tracked it to the thief's house, and there's a police report for it.
And then can you read that?
Yeah.
Did you write that? First?
So I did write this. It says, "Come home tonight and all my signs are gone except the ones 10 feet off the ground. Got this double-sided beauty here to set out tonight. How long do you guys think it will last? I hear the bounty is up to $20 a pop. This is a double, so will this be a $20 or $40 sign?"
And who do you think is stealing those signs?
They are being stolen by parents in the football program that support Mr. Burre and covering up what his child did.
And do you feel threatened by these parents coming to your property and pulling down your signs in the middle of your yard?
Well, since they know that I'm unarmed now due to the false CPO he filed against me after the false police report didn't work, it is a
Objection.
little
Move to
bit,
strike, Your Honor.
it is a little bit worrisome.
Hold on. Your response?
Your Honor, again, the petitioner has opened the door by introducing these signs, and we're trying to expound upon. We've been asked to take whatever the petitioner has interpreted the Facebook post to mean, but we're not allowing my client to elaborate on how he feels about the Facebook post.
The problem is that the witness is not directly answering the question. He's adding commentary that has nothing to do with the question or exhibit and stating things that are legally inconsistent with the record in this matter.
All right, I'll overrule the objection, but sir, will you keep your answers more limited to the questions that are being specifically asked?
And again, during this Exhibit 6, you heard the petitioner, Mr. Burre, claim that those red dots on that sign were a threat. Can you tell me about those red dots on that sign?
They're definitely not blood. It's plastic spray paint, and it's red in color to draw attention because that's a bright color, and what I had on hand.
And your intention was to have these signs posted so that they could possibly be taken?
These particular signs I purposely put in a place where signs had previously been stolen many times under the suspicion that they would be stolen too with a GPS tracker in them. Correct.
Exhibit 7.
Yeah, so this is that sign. It looked like it lasted about 24 hours, and that's what this post was.
And those signs were stolen?
Yes. With the
And
GPS
is this your post?
Yes.
And what do you say there?
Almost 24 hours. I think that's a record. And I'm referencing that most of the signs are stolen fairly quickly.
Is there a reference in there to Mr. Burre? Are you threatening him in this post?
No, there's no hashtags or anything.
Exhibit 8. It looks like the same sign over and over again.
Yeah, they're pretty common.
Please read your comments on Exhibit 8.
So this was right after that sign was stolen. I made this post sharing. It was actually a video. If you look down at the bottom, you can see a play button.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a quick kind of tutorial video of how I planted the GPS inside of the signs. I did a video of me when I was doing it. And I made a post saying, meeting cops over on Cedar Hill now because we were going to retrieve my property.
In that video, did you threaten Mr. Burre?
No, it was mainly about retrieving stolen
Have
property.
you ever blamed Mr. Burre for these signs coming up missing?
I don't think so, although I am pretty sure I have pictures of his wife and son on my street, in my yard, stealing signs. So.
Exhibit 9. Is that your post? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, this was a Dropbox court case document file that I shared. These are public documents.
In sharing those documents, were you trying to threaten Mr. Burre?
No, I was trying to give people a reference point to look at some legal public records because they're very hard to find in this case due to them later being sealed, and the journalist that reported on it actually deleted his report and has completely given up reporting, I guess, after a long storied 6 on your side guy quit reporting news because of this stuff.
Let's talk about Exhibit 12.
So yeah, this was after the CPO, I believe. I was talking about how I don't own weapons, actually. Part of the CPO was I was to surrender all my weapons.
And did you surrender all your weapons?
I did not, because I don't own any. And the sheriff actually didn't even ask me to surrender weapons. He was very apologetic, handing over the service. And to be quite honest, he was really nice. He kind of asked me not to make a post about it.
Exhibit 13. Do you recognize that picture and that post?
Yes, this is my van after some thefts occurred. My van was vandalized several times.
You know who vandalized your van?
The supporters of Mr. Burre, no doubt.
Exhibit 14.
This is a false police report filed against me, alleging aggravated assault with a sexual specification, which is just absolutely heinous. But yeah, this is a false police report.
And why did you post that?
Because I think it's important to expose false police reports and false allegations in general, especially in court, when people have to hire attorneys to protect themselves and their constitutional rights. I think that that's something that should be publicly known.
Who filed this report?
Mr. Burre did. It says on the paperwork.
And were you arrested for any of those allegations?
I actually didn't even know those allegations were made against me until I went to pull the records for me being pulled over that day and trespassed from the school, which was when I found out that, through reading the whole certified document, that he actually tried to have me arrested for aggravated sexual assault, claiming my signs are assaulting his family.
Exhibit 14, is that your post?
I believe this is the commentary underneath one of my posts. Yes, definitely.
And then I want to talk about this Mr. Featheroff, because Mr. Burre has said it was he put these words in your mouth, okay? So I want you to read this line right here, what you said.
I object to the question. That misstates the record. That was not Mr. Burre's testimony.
The court will review what the testimony was, so I'll take that under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead and read.
Yep, read your comments.
All right, this is my response to, looks like a Mr. Caleb Featheroff. That's the thing. They don't want people to know or even be allowed to talk about him and his wife allowing their son to be a serial rapist by raping children at school functions they take him to and get drunk at.
And then what was Mr. Featheroff's response?
Mr. Hutt,
Right here.
when you lean forward past the microphone, it doesn't always pick you up. So
Just sit back.
I mean, you're fine. Just make sure you're speaking kind of close to the microphone.
It looked like Mr. Featheroff responded, "Let me get a hold of him. He'll definitely know he's done fucked up and allowed his son to rape innocent children. Let him try to cover that up with me. I'll end up catching a charge." The gentleman was obviously upset, and I didn't respond to that.
Exhibit 15. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
You know who took the picture?
I don't know the gentleman's name. He was an 18 to 19-year-old male. Said he was the editor of the newspaper for the school last year. Said he was interested in interviewing me, and he came and interviewed me.
And Exhibit 16 and 15 are identical with the pictures, but there's writing underneath this Exhibit 16. Can you tell me who wrote that?
Yeah, that is actually the kid that came in. I call him a kid. He's probably 18, 19ish. He came and interviewed me, and then he made this post, which is what this is a picture of. Is him sharing his commentary and my photos on the Instagram app, it looks like.
And in both of these, there's hashtags. I want to address the hashtags.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the hashtags are, there's 4 or 5 of them there. They're common ways to spread awareness about things is by creating hashtags to gather multiple posts into one topic, so that when you search a hashtag, you can see other posts relating to the same issue.
Were those hashtags directed at the petitioner, Mr. Burre?
No, they're more for public awareness and things like that.
All right. Do you recognize that picture, Exhibit 17?
I do recognize it. I've seen it floating around a little bit. I didn't take it, and I'm not sure who did, honestly. But I have seen that before.
Do you know when that was?
Martin Luther King Day this year.
And why were you out there like that?
I was protesting legally some political protest issues that I am passionate about. And I'm also part Alaskan, and cold doesn't really bother me that much. So I thought it would be a good idea to bring as much attention to these issues as possible by standing out in freezing sub-freezing temperatures to get people to take it seriously.
Do you think that makes you, do you think that picture is threatening in any way to the petitioner?
I don't see how it could be. No.
The insinuation by this photo and by the testimony of the petitioner was that anybody who will stand out here like that, you don't know what he's going to do.
I had gloves on.
Can you please cover, so we've seen 3 pictures with you in skivvies there. I don't know what the temperature is. It looks just like a sunny day. What was the temperature? Can you explain that in a little bit more detail?
I believe the high that day was around 16 degrees. I did wear protective coverings for my extremities for frostbite. I covered all bare skin with Vaseline, as I commonly did as a kid growing up in Alaska in sub-zero temperatures. And, you know, the sun was out. It wasn't that bad in the sun.
That day in question, did you contact Mr. Burre?
No.
Did you make a Facebook post and tag him with this picture?
No, definitely not.
Had you ever seen this picture before?
I saw a lot after that day. People sent it to me and stuff. It's been floating around.
But you don't know where this came from or who took the picture?
I believe it was a passerby in a car. Took it.
Same with Exhibit 18 and 19. I'll just put them both out there. Did you write this in Exhibit 18?
Yes, that was part of a fundraiser I was doing that week to help raise funds to buy more signs and wristbands.
Okay. What about Exhibit 19?
I think that's the same thing, just a different. So that was a reel. It's just a string of photos, and this is the same post, just a different photo on the same.
In Exhibit 19, the petitioner mentioned that you were communicating with Lancaster High School students. Is that what this post is about?
No, this was in general. This wasn't directed at any specific group or people. I have had lots of Lancaster High School students reach out to me, though.
Okay. But in this post, were you tagging Lancaster students in
No,
particular? Did you send it to Lancaster students in particular, or was it just a post?
no, yes, it was a public post.
Okay. Let's talk about Exhibit 20. Do you recognize that?
Yes. Yeah, this was after I distributed wristbands, I believe. Oh, yeah, and this talks about free speech and the Tinker versus Des Moines and armbands and the legality of that and stuff.
And in this post, are you directing any of that directly at Mr. Burre or his wife or his family?
No, in this post I'm thanking the children of Lancaster High School because 320 of them received wristbands that day, which was a lot more than I was expecting.
Exhibit 21. Do you recognize that picture?
Today's the first time I've seen that.
First day you've seen it? Did you post that sign on there?
No.
Do you know who did post that sign?
No.
Is that one of your signs?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And do you know where that location is, by the way?
It looks like the right-of-way of the road coming down to the high school.
And so the petitioner said it was Tuesday morning that this sign was found and that you posted it. Were you there? Did you post that picture Tuesday morning?
No.
You heard the victim impact statement in Exhibit 11 of the petitioner, and he stated you've made 78 Facebook posts on your page about his family since November of 2022. Is that an accurate statement?
Specifically about him and his family, probably not an accurate statement for that. The hashtag may have been included into other posts as well, like I said, related topics, like the fact his attorney represented my ex in a different civil legal matter, and some other stuff.
Have you ever threatened Mr. Burre?
No.
Have you ever posted something, a direct threat to Mr. Burre?
No.
Have you posted a direct threat to his wife?
No.
Have you posted a direct threat to any of his children?
No.
Do you intend on hurting Mr. Burre?
No.
How do you intend on addressing your issues that you have?
I would very much like to hold people accountable in the court of law. If that's not a viable option, then I'd like to spread awareness about the issues so that the general public can at least be aware of the issues.
Mr. Burre's statement says Derek continuously states that this was not handled correctly for a variety of reasons and was part of a cover-up. Is that an incorrect statement?
That is very correct.
Okay. He claims that your statements contain many inaccuracies and falsehoods to push your own narrative and agenda. Did you state that?
I would say that is Mr. Burre's spin on things to try to push his own falsehood and narrative. He's, in fact, accusing me of what he is guilty of.
Did you state that you're taking justice into your own hands?
I believe I stated that in the sentence where it went on to say, by hiring an investigative journalist from Texas, which I did.
So that wasn't the full statement?
Correct. He omitted a very key part of that sentence to make it sound threatening in a physical way, which is a common thing you'll see over and over in this case.
Now, approach again, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I want you to look at Exhibit 11. I think you and I went over this earlier, and I want you to discuss each item on Exhibit 11.
Already.
Start, this is his paragraphs. I want you to start at these incidents that he's detailed out in his petition for a CPO.
Okay. On 11/19, he stated that I said, "You and your children deserve justice," in reference to his family. I don't believe I ever said that at all. I believe that the victims deserve justice. The serial children, the children that were serially raped, deserve justice. I believe that.
Okay, just keep going down. You don't have to explain. I just want you to tell me whether you think it's true or not.
Copy that. 11/30 of 22, he says that I claim Christy Burre maliciously prosecuted me. I stand by that. She did. She withheld evidence, both my children being hospitalized by CPS and their mother's negligence. I stand by that. They did. They put my kids in foster care in retaliation. They did, and I stand by that statement. And they still have their jobs, which they probably do.
Move on to the next one.
Emails the school board stating that these people and practices need to be held responsible. I did email the school board on more than one occasion. I asked the drinking parties children that were raped at to stop. I asked them to be addressed among the school and the football staff, and I asked these people to be held responsible.
Okay, go to the next one.
Post pictures of me and states fired as the goal. I don't particularly remember doing that. Refers Christy Burre as a swamp donkey. I believe I did say that in the context of a reply to a text message between me and somebody else. It was a response. It wasn't a post, but I did say that once. Put my kids in foster care for profit, which she did. Create signs, justice for Burre rapes. I did do that. Creates a hashtag. I did do that. While on school grounds to see his freshman son. Now this is a little misleading because he claims it was on 10/5 of 23. I was kicked out of coaching June of last year after bringing these issues up, so I couldn't have been on school grounds because I wasn't a coach during 10/23. That would have been the year prior, 2022, when I took a picture with my son during a football clinic.
So that date is incorrect?
Correct, yeah,
Right.
that was a year prior when I violated Kangaroo. It says Kangaroo Cleary's orders. Yeah, that was a year prior. And that was an unconstitutional order that's being appealed from the Fifth
Okay,
District.
go to the next one.
Post pictures with my son at the fair, claiming free and not in jail. That did take place. I was free and not in jail after being sentenced to jail, unless I apologize to these people, which will never happen. States, not all heroes wear capes, in reference to a judge getting shot in his driveway. I did do that. I commented it on a post.
Let's stop you right there. Did you intend that to be a threat towards Mr. Burre?
I was just commenting on a post, and I believe it was made in the Father's Rights group that I'm in.
Was it intended to be a threat to his family in any way?
No, it wasn't a threat to anybody.
Keep going.
On 10/23, he states that he ordered, or that I ordered, or stated that I ordered more justice for Burre rape signs to put all over town. I did do that. Every time the signs are stolen, I kind of expand the area and make it larger or higher, harder to steal. On 8/11/23, he states that I stated, I will do everything legally possible before I sacrifice my freedom. Again, I believe that was a comment. Some of my posts, people get riled up and like to say what they would do or they were in my situation. A lot of those times I have to, tell people to calm down and, handle things legally and stuff like that. On 11/13, he states that I placed justice for Burre rape sign in and around town and around the campus of Lancaster High School. That sounds about right. I wouldn't have been on school property, but I would have been around town and around the schools. On 11/16, he filed a police report. It doesn't say what for, but now we know what that was for.
Okay, go on to the next. On to the next page. Page 2 of Exhibit 11.
At the top, he states that I stated, if anyone needs guns and ammo in Lancaster, Ditmar Sales is the place to buy them. I still believe that to be true. Next, on 11/16, the same day, 2023, he states that I said, Scott, you are a worm of a man, and states I will be doing laps around school outlets letting in or out on my days off. He can enjoy my signs from his office if he wishes. Absolutely nothing he can do about it. So this is directly after I was pulled over, and I was paraphrasing what the police officer said to me in regards to my public political protests. They advised that I should probably take the signs down, but if I wanted them on my vehicle or to stand out in public with them, that there's really nothing he can do about it, and that's what they advised me to do. On 11/19, post court docs for minor son. These were public records that I was given by an investigative journalist who I had an exchange of mutual information with. They were obtained legally through Freedom of Information requests, and they were public records. 11/20/23, it says Christy Burre sold his kids into foster care and references if he himself is killed. This is a very incomplete reference to a Facebook post where I did send a picture of part of a communique that I sent to a lot of people, old teammates, journalists, family members living in other states, family members in law enforcement. And what I did was I shared information about my case and told them where to take it and what to do with it in the event that I am harmed, because I have received multiple death threats since this case opened.
And so that particular thing wasn't a direct threat at Mr. Burre or his family, that post itself?
No, that was me spreading awareness about where to take information if I'm harmed or something happens.
Continue on to the next one.
Looks like 11/14, 15, and 16. made multiple laps around LHS campus in a van while I was standing on duty, driving 6 to 8 feet from me. Now, this is an obvious bold-faced lie, because if this actually took place, he would have not only witnesses, but photo evidence, much like the evidence of my van, the still frame picture. He would be able to prove that if that were the case, and he can't because he's lying.
Okay. Go on with the next one.
11, 16, and 17 places justice for Burre rape signs on and around LHS campus. I have not been on LHS campus since November of 21, so I have no doubt that might be around there, but definitely not on campus.
Did you post any signs on the campus?
I have not.
Go to the next one.
11 of 22, 23 says he started to receive counseling. 11/24, he states 300 more signs are on the way and will be here December 5th. I believe that was my last sign order.
Do you want Mr. Burre fired?
I would like him to be held legally accountable for enabling his son to become a serial child rapist.
Objection, move to strike.
Answer the question without elaborating.
Yes.
I just need you to answer the question. Do you want Mr. Burre fired?
I'd like him legally held accountable, yes.
Okay. Did you drive in close proximity to him the day that's in question in Exhibit? Exhibit 10.
I've never driven in close proximity to him, ever.
Did you see Mr. Burre standing 6 to 8 feet from your van when you drove by on a public roadway?
Today is the first day I've seen him since November of 2021.
All right. Did you state 300 more signs will be here by December 5th?
Probably. I keep people up to date when I order new merchandise, stuff, protest things.
All right. Have no further question, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Collier.
Ms. Mohan will be
Thank you, Your Honor.
doing cross-exam.
I'll be hanging across today. Good afternoon, Mr. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Can
I call you Derek?
Yes.
Or do you have a preference? Okay. I'm going to ask you a few questions about your testimony and about the facts overall in this case. So bear with me. I tend to confuse myself, so if I confuse you, that makes sense to everyone. All right, so tangentially, do you remember the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case that was a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Do you remember the facts of that, or what happened?
I didn't follow it super close. I know the gist of it.
Okay, so you know that she wrote a column that never mentioned Johnny Depp's name.
Objection, Your Honor.
So clearly about him.
This has nothing to do with this case.
Hold on, we're talking about the lawyer.
Okay, get to it pretty quick.
Sure. Do you realize that Johnny Depp won that case and Amber Heard wrote a column, never mentioned his name, but included so many things about him that the public was able to infer that it was Johnny Depp?
I remember Johnny Depp being falsely accused and then proving in court otherwise. That's what I remember from that case.
Okay, well, you have no reason to dispute what I just represented to you then, correct?
I don't know that what you said is correct.
Okay, perfect. So, let's go through these exhibits one by one, as we have been doing all day. Specifically, let's start with when your attorney asked you about Exhibit 6. You have them in front of you?
Nope.
Oh,
They're right
his
here.
back.
Those are the originals.
Originals. All right, so these are the originals. So please. You got Exhibit 6.
On 6.
Okay. Your attorney just asked you if you had directly inferred that my client, Mr. Burre, was in this post or directly threatened him, and you answered no because there were no hashtags. Do you recall that?
I do.
Okay. So, by those lines, the hashtags that have been involved in this entire matter, the justice for the Burre rapes, are directly related to my client, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, that's speculative. Whether a hashtag is on a post or not
Oh my God.
doesn't mean that he didn't intend or he intended for Mr. Burre to see it. He answered when there's hashtags. I took him through all the exhibits and asked him about every hashtag. There's no hashtags on this post.
All right. She's asking about hashtags. That's good. You can answer the question.
When you post something on the internet, is that public?
Yes.
Okay. You like Facebook, don't you?
It seems to be the best way to reach people currently.
Okay, so everything we're looking at here today was posted on Facebook for the purposes of informing and speaking to the public, correct?
Correct.
How many people do you know by the last name Burre?
Not that many.
Okay, so by inference, stay with me. If you write justice for the Burre rapes, and you don't know that many people named Burre, who could it possibly be?
It's more of a situation than a person.
Oh, okay. Please explain that to me. I don't understand.
There are serial rapes of children taking place at Lancaster school functions,
Okay.
Objection, move to strike.
and that's what we're bringing attention here to, not to a specific
Your Honor,
person.
he's objecting,
I'll overrule that.
and his counsel is asking the question.
Your Honor, can I approach?
I mean, if you want, just microphone's hard up here, so speak loudly or quietly.
They're discussing me saying serial rapist.
She did ask what it means. I have no idea. Maybe introducing you and stuff in criminal court, which is fine. But offer what he thinks the situation is. I will know. His testimony may or may not be correct.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
You can ask your next question.
Okay. All right. Well, we have Exhibit 6 up. We can just keep looking at that. All right. So earlier you testified that these are 2 circles that were added so it could draw more attention to the sign. Is that a correct restatement of your testimony?
That was a artistic expression. Yeah, the signs were all laying out. I was standing out front side with some friends, and there was a can of spray paint there, and one of them put a dot on the sign and said, you know, that makes it stand out a little bit more. There's some spots right here that could be covered with red, and that's what we did.
I thought that you chose this, or you did this so it would stand out more.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Okay, so how does it stand out more if you have paint running into the words?
Because it draws attention. Prior to those dots being there, it was just unused white space. And by putting red dots there, it draws more people's eyes to it because they're bright colored dots.
Are those the only, well, I guess this is a creative expression, are those the only, is that the only poster that has the red dots that are not bullet holes?
I believe that some of the ones that say, in Lancaster football drinking parties, kids have been raped, those were also outlined and bordered in red. So no, it's not the only sign that has red spray paint on it.
Do you think to an average person that they could possibly infer that those are supposed to be artistic expressions of bullet holes?
Yeah, I think the average person has common sense enough to know that that's not blood.
I didn't ask that question.
What was your question?
I asked you if the average person could infer that those were bullet or artistic expressions
Objection,
of
Your
bullet
Honor.
holes.
speculative again.
I'm in the middle of asking a
Asking him to
question.
have an opinion about the
One
average
at a time,
person.
please.
What, this is
Hold
about.
on, hold on. Let him make his objection, you can have a response.
Your Honor, that she's asking him what the average person thinks. The average person could be anything. And she's asking for an answer, a hypothetical question, not a question related directly to the exhibit. They're their exhibits. They should know what they want to ask.
All right. Response.
Your Honor, this case is about what a reasonable person would fear in the public. This is a public sign that looks like bullet holes. And if I ask my client, or sorry, not my
I'm
client,
sorry,
it's not
I'm
my
sorry.
client.
Oh, come on.
Are you really
Stop. We're not doing this. One person speaking at a time. We're going to maintain professional decorum here, all right?
Absolutely.
The objection's overruled. You can continue. But please, we're going to not let this devolve into this, all right?
Yes, Your Honor, absolutely. I deeply apologize to my computer. Okay, so back to Exhibit 6. Would a reasonable person in the public look at the sign and believe that these were artistic recreations of bullet holes on Exhibit 6?
I would have to assume that the general public would know that those are not bullet holes by looking at them.
I asked if they were artistic recreations.
Yeah, I think that's plainly obvious.
Okay. All right. How many signs do you have those bullet holes on them?
I don't know.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. I mean, he didn't testify. He testified they're not bullet holes.
Question, answer.
Anyway, we're going with that one. All right. Well, let's move on since it's getting heated. Mr. Utt, can you define what the word justice means to you?
I think that word is open for interpretation.
I asked what it meant to you.
To me, it would mean right.
And so a demand for justice, a call for justice, what does that mean to you?
I would like for things to be right.
And what does right mean?
How deep do you want me to go? Am I allowed to talk? Or?
The stand is yours, sir.
Right to me would be investigating crimes that happen, especially ones that deal with child rapes and are serial in nature. It also has to do with people doing their jobs, whether they want to or not, which isn't taking place in this county, prosecutor's office, the police department, sheriff's department, this court, or the schools. Color of law violations are taking place instead, where these people are refusing to do their jobs and investigate these things based off this man's political connections. And I feel that is a travesty and serious misjustice to these rape victims and my son, who was left at one of these parties where children are left unattended by these school people.
And what is a color of law violation to you?
A color of law violation is when a public official chooses to not do their job, usually to cover up corruption or benefit themselves, but they are not acting in their official capacity, but to do something on their own endeavor.
On their own endeavor. So are you an advocate, I guess, of self-help?
Advocate of helping anybody. Yeah.
Well, I mean, earlier you testified that these signs are out here for people to take it upon themselves to learn more, do more, whatnot. That's kind of the definition of self-help, isn't that right?
That's the whole point of protesting political issues, is to get people involved and to investigate.
Do you solicit funds from the public for these signs?
I do not. I give them away free, but I do accept donations.
And when they're left for free, you leave them on the front porch of your house, correct, for people to take?
I'm sorry, what's your question?
When these signs are left for free, you just leave them on your front porch?
They are currently on my front porch, yes.
And the public knows that they can come get them?
Yeah, that's publicly posted.
So you can't necessarily steal something that's free and left out for the
Well,
public,
there's a
correct?
difference between it being posted up north towards the edge of the yard and them being set on my porch. When they're being stolen out of my yard on camera and with GPS trackers, it's a little different. You're stealing them. The people who come and get them usually let me know they're doing it, and they're on camera and they know it. So I probably should start a petition, have them sign every time they come get one. That way I can better track where they go for the thefts that have to be reported over and over again.
And you engaged in self-help when you tracked one of your own signs to the thieves' house, correct?
Self-help?
Self-help is when you take matters into your own hands.
I would say that I was having trouble with the police refusing jurisdiction, and upon suggestion of a Lancaster Police Department employee, I planted GPS trackers to better find out who was stealing the signs. Hope that answers your question. If not, please ask me again.
No, you answered it. When did you come up with the Justice for the Burre rapes hashtag?
Not sure exactly.
Would it be summer 2023, before that or after?
I don't recall. I've been currently engulfed in contentious legal litigation for about the past 27 months. So it could have been any time in that time frame period.
And you created it to bring justice for litigation or court proceedings that have been concluded and an act that occurred before 2023, correct?
Can you restate that? That was kind of
You created the Justice for the Burre rapes hashtag in 2023 to bring, I guess, awareness to something that had already gone through the court system.
Well, I think that 2 of the 4 incidents of sexual assault went through Fairfield County. But I believe that there were 2 other incidents that did not get prosecuted or pursued through legal means. So, no, there are still things that have not gone through court and that took place that people have not been charged.
Did you get this information from the investigator you hired that was listed in Exhibit, or you spoke about in Exhibit 1?
Objection, Your Honor, relevancy.
What?
That's
She-
overruled. You can answer.
May I state why, Your Honor? So she's asking about how he got information and did he get information from investigators. That's not, I don't know how that's relevant at
Exhibit
all.
1, he hired her in
Well,
Exhibit
he
1.
she
He said he
whether or not
he was going to hire
He
investigators.
followed through on the post he put on Facebook. I think that's relevant, so you can answer the question.
Can we shoot that question one more time?
Did you find out the information about these unresolved, I guess, sexual assaults through the investigator you hired out of Texas that is in Exhibit 1?
No. No, it was a different investigative journalist.
Okay, and what results came from this investigator you hired in Exhibit 1?
They are currently still on the case.
They've been working on the case since November of 2022?
Correct.
Okay. So then you on your own have decided that it was a failure of the local government when your investigators haven't made a conclusion yet, correct?
I know that sexual assaults took place and that nobody was ever charged. What's your question?
Okay. Okay. All right. You clearly have an issue with Christy Burre, correct?
I think she probably has an issue with me more than I do with her.
Well, based on the testimony of my client, she doesn't recollect you at all.
That's interesting because she took my children 3 times through CPS in the last 15 years.
Okay, so you clearly have an issue with Christy Burre, correct?
You're saying that, not me.
Yes or no question.
I would say that my issue with Christy Burre is that she abuses her power as a politician through CPS, and it's illegal.
Does she
Probably.
currently hold any positions of power as a politician through CPS?
I don't know.
Okay. So when you called her a swamp donkey, what does that mean?
It means that she is corrupt and part of the problem here in Fairfield County.
That you determined by what means or through what evidence?
Through me wading through malicious prosecutions more than once at her hand.
What evidence do you have that she was involved in any way?
She was the director of CPS. I met with her face-to-face when my children were taken, using false allegations and withholding evidence in juvenile court, to which her boss, Michael Orlando, to this day, continues to file quashes and withhold records because they don't want me to get them because they proved malicious prosecution several times over.
Is this all relating from the instance when somebody had reported you to CPS and you met with that person and requested my client to be there?
You're gonna have to be more specific. In that
Is
case.
this whole entire malicious prosecution thing? Is this coming from when you had to meet with CPS that you testified to earlier and asked Scott to be there?
It was a different time.
That's a
but
different time?
This has taken place 3 times,
Okay.
repeatedly, pattern.
What are you being
Corruption.
accused of by CPS?
What am I being accused of?
Or what have you been accused of, sorry?
What haven't I been accused of?
That's a weird question.
It's a shorter answer.
Well, I can't really answer questions if you ask me, so. Interesting. Well,
We should hire an investigator to look into it.
let's go to Exhibit 3. The article which you reposted that says not all heroes wear capes.
All right.
And what does it mean when somebody writes not all heroes wear capes?
I think it means that they're supportive of what the person did.
Well, I'm not asking you to think about it. You wrote it. What did it mean?
I would say that guy's a hero.
For killing a judge in a domestic.
Well, to my knowledge, it was a really sad situation where somebody's kids were taken with false allegations, and I think the man's rights to his children were completely terminated in retaliation for something.
So you think it was admirable that he took matters into his own hands?
I think that in that particular situation, it was a very sad result to a mistrial and justice.
But, again, you think it's admirable that this private citizen didn't engage in government resources or anything like that and took matters in his own hands?
I don't know, it looks like he went through court and did try to engage in government resources and was probably met with some type of corruption. I can't speculate. This is another state. I've never met the man.
Kind of corruption and, government failures that you're describing here.
Again, I haven't seen his case specific, so I don't know how well they would align with mine.
Well, I mean, you reposted this, which is obviously violence, a murdered judge, and wrote, not all heroes wear capes. How can you not think that would be a call to action or incitement for violence?
I honestly don't care, ma'am. Due to the First Amendment, I am completely allowed to say stuff like that. I didn't ask anybody to go kill anybody. I didn't
But you
kill
do,
anybody.
you can see how that would be taken as a
I can
violence.
see how you might not like it, and I do not care.
Okay, I didn't talk about liking it. I appreciate your comment. But you can see how someone could see this post and think this is a call to action involving violence, correct?
It's a call to action. I think it's definitely something to look at and investigate and look into why stuff like that happens.
And it happens because of corrupt local governments, right?
That's up for everybody to look into and investigate on their own.
Okay, we're back on. So we're on Exhibit 4 now. Back to the car. How long have you had this vehicle?
I sold my 2021 F-150 in August to pay for a $19,000 appeal, and I bought this that week, so it would have been probably the first week of August last year.
And have you had signs on it the whole time?
Yes. At least bumper stickers. I had bumper stickers long before I had signs.
So you started with bumper stickers, and now we've escalated to signs all over your car and drive around campus?
Got wristbands too.
And wristbands. So you would say you're ramping up, correct?
Every time the supporter of the serial rapes takes an action, I try to take an equal reaction. So every time a sign's stolen, I put up 2. Every time a sign's taken out of my yard, I expand a little further down the road. So yeah, I try to meet the situation the best I can, legally and on my own terms.
On your own terms. Okay. Do you have any plans moving forward?
Billboards. I'd like to expand
Billboards.
billboards. I think that would be a great idea. I've actually been contacted by a lot of my friends off the 03 championship football team wanting to donate and go in on billboards, not only for this issue, but also him hiring a pedophile in shop class last year as well.
Okay. How much is a billboard? How much would that cost you?
You know, I've just started looking into it,
Objection, Your Honor, relevancy.
so I don't really know.
Just said billboard.
And we're asking, this is gonna take till midnight tonight,
I honestly
okay?
don't know.
Because I get a chance to recross, and we just need to get through this.
My time safe is on the line.
The questions she's asking have no bearing on this case.
We'll just, do you know how much a billboard costs?
I don't. I
Alright,
haven't
you
been
guys
able
know,
to.
let's move on.
Okay.
I think they're expensive.
You pay your taxes?
I have not filed taxes the last 2 years. I do pay them though.
Do you have any active cases with the state of Ohio against you right now?
State of Ohio against me.
Attorney General's office, perhaps the Department of Taxation?
I don't know of any current ones. Maybe past. I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay. Have you ever been charged with a crime?
Have I been charged? Many times.
Okay. You ever been charged with domestic violence?
Twice.
You ever been charged with menacing?
I do believe that there was a charge tacked onto one of the domestic violence that was a menacing at one point.
Do you know what menacing is?
I assume it's some type of physical threat with a repeated nature. I don't know the legal definition.
It's kind of similar to what we're here for today. It's making someone believe that you will harm them. And you got charged with that, you said?
I think that was a charge tacked on to a case at one point.
But the answer is yes, you were charged with that.
I don't ever remember being served or anything like
Okay,
that.
well, I believe the charge is out of 2015 in
Yeah, it
this
was
county.
added on. I just don't remember.
Charges aren't added on. You were charged with a crime of menacing in
Let's look at the date
2013,
of it.
correct?
Let's look at the date of the charge.
Why is he asking me
You
questions?
answered her question. You're not supposed to be asking me.
What was your question?
Have you been charged with menacing?
Charged and dismissed, yes.
All right. Let's go to Exhibit 5, the Ditmar Sales Post. I believe earlier you testified that you were asked to post this. For Ditmar Sales?
No, I wasn't asked to post this. I was asked to bring signs to that residence and post them.
Which residence?
Are you asking if I posted the signs or if I posted the picture on this Facebook platform?
They asked you to post Ditmar Sales, asked you to post about the ammunition.
No. They didn't. I did that on my own volition.
Can you see how, as the last line of this post, that would seem threatening or violent or asking people to buy guns and ammo?
There's lots of reasons people buy guns and ammo, and I was excited that somebody was selling them local and in town. So no, I don't see any threat when I hear people talk about guns and ammo.
Correct, but when you put it in conjunction with the hashtags and the message beforehand, don't you see how someone could think that this is perhaps violence or asking the public to engage in violence?
I think it's asking the public to support local businesses, is what I would say to that.
Why didn't you put that as a hashtag? Support local businesses is probably the most popular hashtag
That's
out
a
of all of
great
these.
idea. I might do that in the future.
Wonderful.
I hadn't thought of it.
Did Ditmar Sales, do you work for them? I'm sorry, do you work for them or anything like that?
No. No, I'm not employed there.
And you said you spoke with Mike, was the owner who you have a relationship with?
I don't have a relationship with him. He contacted me on Facebook and said that he supports the movement and he would like a few signs. And then I took the signs down to his shop within a day or two, is what I usually do when people request signs. And when I was in there, I was just going to drop them off. And then I got to talking to the guy and noticed they had guns and ammo for sale and thought that was awesome because I've driven past that place for 15 years and never knew they sold guns or ammo. Then I asked him where he wanted the signs posted, and he said wherever I wanted. And I put them up on that light post outside because I felt that was the best place to put them at the time.
All right, let's go to number 8. So the artistic expression of the holes with, I guess, paint that is not blood but looks like blood coming out of it. That was such a hit, you started to add it to other signs, correct?
It's on a few. I believe it was the second batch of signs. I don't know what your question exactly was in there.
I'm saying starting to add it to the rest of your signs, and now you have it on your car as well, which is depicted in Exhibit 13. Is this becoming a staple of your signage? These spray paint holes that...
No, I wouldn't say it's a staple. It's probably on maybe 20% of those signs.
And you liked it enough that you eventually put it on your van, correct?
Actually, the van had a bunch of signs stolen off of it, and then those were just the ones that were left, and that's why they got put on there. So I had to replace the stolen signs.
And that, the picture I'm referring to is Exhibit 13. Is this before or after? Or I'm sorry.
Let me take a look.
This is after all of them had been stolen and this was what was left to put up?
They didn't steal all of them. Yeah, 13, that shows some were stolen. They like to steal the ones off the back that they usually get to.
And this is after my client was granted a temporary protection order against you, correct?
I mean, I never took it down. If that's what you're asking. What was your question?
I asked them.
They were put on my van prior to the order. I didn't take them down after the order.
And you put them on your van?
Correct.
Okay. I believe earlier you testified about, gosh, it was like 300 to 600 signs have been stolen from you in the last 2 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so you ordered approximately 600 signs since the temporary protection order was granted?
Around about, I've made 3 orders. Yeah, around about there.
How many orders had you made before the protection order was granted?
No, I've made 3 orders total.
And when was the first one?
I don't remember.
When was the second one?
I don't remember.
And the third one was obviously after protection order, correct?
I believe the order was made before the protection order, and then they were delivered. It was on one of these posts when they, December 5th, I remember seeing the date somewhere, was when they arrived, the third order.
And you felt that it was perfectly fine to put them all up, irrespective of the protection order and the parameters that were included in them?
I think that I am completely within my constitutional rights to do what I'm doing.
That's fine. I'm having some trouble understanding your reliance on constitutional rights, but also why you think the government is at fault for all of this. I'm struggling to see what protection you're seeking and what action you're seeking from the government.
I'm trying to bring attention to local residents that there are color of law violations happening in our courts with dealing with child serial rapes.
I want to talk about your protest when you were, as your counsel called it, in your skivvies outside the courthouse.
Those were bodybuilding posing shorts.
Oh, I was going to ask you if those were underwear. Because they look like underwear. What size are those?
I don't know.
You said you were protesting on Martin Luther King Day?
Correct.
And protesting outside the courthouse?
I felt it to be the good day to do that, yes.
The court was closed.
Yes.
Okay.
In observance of a national civil rights holiday.
And to that effect, so also a little confused about this part. You said if somebody donated, you would, I guess, supply them with a selfie of you in your underwear?
No, quad picture.
So just quad, no clothes?
No.
And you
not
think that was
just-
appropriate to be protesting children raped and saying that you would give
That was
people who gave you
prior to
donate? It's on this one, actually. Let's see. You were gonna give them pictures of yourself for donations. That sounds like OnlyFans. Where was
Are you
this?
giving testimony or asking questions?
I'm sorry, are you talking to me?
I am.
That's hilarious. Your Honor,
Just answer the questions that she asked. She is
Should ask a question, I'd love to answer.
asking questions.
Do you have any more, I guess, protests, one-man protests involved or planned for right now?
Like for later today, no.
Anything in the future?
I don't believe there's anything currently on the books, but that's subject to change, and, you know, I'm sure I'm not done protesting these issues.
In the vein of you protesting, crimes against children, do you think it's appropriate for you to be communicating with minor children and inciting them to partake in violence or skipping school or protests?
What was the first part of that question?
Do you think it's appropriate when you're here under the cover of protesting against sexual assault against children to be now soliciting minor children to kind of protest out here, skip school, do what you want? Do you think it's appropriate?
Do I think it's appropriate for children to take an interest in child rapes? Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking if you think it's appropriate for you to be communicating with minor children outside the purview of their parents about skipping school or engaging in protests, things of that nature.
Where's the foundation of me talking to children without their parents? What are you talking about?
She asked a question. You think it's appropriate? We answered the question.
Yeah, just
Given the circumstances and the things of what's going on, I think that it's one of the most appropriate things I could do to reach out to the
How old
general
are you?
public. I'm 38.
You're a 38-year-old male speaking to children and getting them to leave school and, influencing their behavior. Are you not talking to their parents?
I have never told a child to leave school. What are you talking about?
Are there any minor children that you've communicated with here today with us in the gallery?
I have no idea.
objection, Your Honor. This,
Yeah,
really?
this is going a bit beyond.
Really?
The foundation of what this is, so move on.
Just trying to figure out what this. These guys bring out the feds on mine. Alright, I'm gonna have to mark on the back. Alright, I'm gonna approach with it. This is exhibit 24. It's just like Google Maps.
I'm going to object to this, Your Honor, because they have already rested their case and they're trying to introduce another exhibit.
I just want to
I'm
know.
introducing the exhibit to your witness.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna introduce this as a proposed exhibit 24, right? 24, 25.
24.
I'm gonna give you my pen. I'm gonna ask you to mark where you generally stand on the school's property or near the property to hand out your wristbands and signs to the high school students.
Should we mark an X for you, or how would you like for me to do that?
Whatever makes the most sense to you.
There you go. It would be seen here off the map in the white area, and off school property is where I would be. There you go.
Is that where the school resource officer came and spoke with you about being on school property?
Yeah, it would have been.
All the way off school property, it seems perhaps across the street by an apartment complex?
It was down the street and around the corner, actually.
Okay, and what did the school resource officer say to you?
So a police officer, sheriff's deputy, I believe, came to me and said that I was on school property, to which I replied, really? Because I thought this was bike path parking. And she said, no, it wasn't. We argued about it for a brief second, and I obliged her request to move my vehicle. And then I proceeded to come right back to where I was standing on the sidewalk, the public sidewalk, where I was holding my protest. Any other questions?
Do you know who Caleb Fetterhoff is? Do you have social interactions with this person?
That is a kid who, I know him. He was friends with a deceased nephew of mine who passed away the past 2 years. but he was friends with him. They lived in the same area, around Hunter's Trace, and he would have known me from taking my nephew Michael fishing, and those are the interactions that I had with him.
Would you consider him a friend?
I would say he's an acquaintance of a nephew of mine. He's a friend on Facebook.
Thank you. Obviously, these are only 23 exhibits that we have over Facebook. Do you have a significant amount more of Facebook posts that are about this situation?
Yeah, there's tons, and they're all not being presented here today because you don't want the subject matter admitted into evidence, and that's why you're not admitting them all.
Objection, move to strike.
No, she's the one questioning.
She asked a question, he should be able to answer.
The question was, are there more Facebook posts?
And he answered that.
What does it even say? All right, well, looking at everything as a whole and taking into consideration everything we've discussed today, wouldn't you agree that you've exhibited increasingly obsessive behaviors with Scott and Chrissy Burre through Facebook posts, signs, wristbands, and interaction with the public?
If anything, I would say the exact opposite, that he's doing what he's accusing me of by continuously harassing me, pulling me into court over this, having people steal from me, having people threaten me, all repeatedly.
Do you have any basis for any evidence for anything you just said?
Oh, yeah, tons.
Do you have it here today?
No, I was letting you guys prove your case here. I'm going to be suing and pursuing my own legal cases after this.
Did you provide it to your attorney?
Yeah, some of it.
And you didn't present any evidence that would exonerate you or absolve you of any of the claims against you?
You guys have to prove this. I don't have to disprove it. So, I'm not saying I didn't make these signs. I'm saying this is completely politically protected free speech. And the fact that you don't like them is unfortunate, but as far as I'm concerned, this is a constitutionally protected stuff.
Inciting the public to violence is not constitutionally protected.
I have not incited anybody.
Intimidation is not
I have
constitutionally
not intimidated
protected.
anybody. You have presented multiple lies that I've proven here today. And if you want to keep trying, keep trying. I can do this all
These
day.
lies, these are your Facebook posts.
His statements, his witness statement, was a complete falsehood of pieces of information put together to make a peaceful protest seem not.
Do you know what a statement
And
is?
I don't think that's going to hold up here today.
All of the exhibits you've seen here today, are you the one who posted them, except, I guess, for the one where it was the newspaper? Yeah, except for the newspaper.
Some of them were shared articles. The majority of them are my postings.
And even to that end, the newspaper article, you reposted an Instagram article onto your Facebook.
Correct.
And by doing that, you're essentially condoning the message.
I think it's an important message to get out, and so do a lot of the public here. I think that as well.
So, to what end is this peaceful protest? Like, what is your goal?
Justice.
And you don't have a word, you don't know what that is. It doesn't exist in the way you describe
Well,
it.
it's not color of law violations and refusing to report and cover up things. I can tell you that much.
All right, so
What's
what
going
does
on
justice
is
look
not
against
justice.
for the Burre rapes? What does justice look like to you?
I would say a unimpeded investigation with legal outcomes and ramifications and people held responsible. I think people that enable child serial rapists should be held accountable for all child serial rapes, especially after the first one, because they knew it was going on.
Under Ohio law, there's statutes that address that. People go to court, they get charged with things. People get dismissed with things
You
you're
have
charged
to have a prosecutor willing to prosecute somebody for that to happen.
That did happen. Do you not? That was in your Dropbox file that you.
It also happened that there were more rapes and assaults that took place.
What basis do you have for this? What evidence of these additional rapes? There's
I don't have to prove anything here today.
Have you contacted the police and given them your information?
Objection, Your Honor, she's badgered.
I have
Hold on,
contacted
hold
the
on,
police.
hold
It's
on.
on video.
Hold on!
So,
All right. One question, one answer. Let's not talk over each other. I'm not amused by that. Please ask a question, and then you can answer.
You testify that you have evidence of additional child sexual assaults in this county, have you turned it over to the police?
Yes.
Do you have a time frame of when you did that?
I mean, I've tried to make numerous police reports. It's all on video, it's all online, it's all public.
Do you have any of those videos
You should
or
have
police
more.
reports that you have allegedly made?
No, I don't have them with me. I have the one that he made.
Did you create a GoFundMe to make signs for this matter?
No. The original GoFundMe was to hire the investigator. After that goal was achieved, I want to say February of 2022-ish. Since that time, all funds coming into the GoFundMe have been used for signage. So it was originally made for a different reason. That goal was met, and then any additional funds coming in have been directed towards purchasing more signs. All of which is clearly explained in the public posts when those are posted.
Do you believe that any of your posts would cause emotional or mental distress?
I don't see how a sign is going to cause any emotional or mental distress. I can see how some people might not like it, especially if it exposes crimes that they're involved in.
If you were to take, say that, what is that, Exhibit 8? If you were to change the Burre name to your name, would you take offense to that sign, or would you be distressed by it?
I would definitely want to look into it and possibly clear my name.
How would you go about clearing your name?
Probably suing someone for defamation would be the best way. Unfortunately for him, though, that's not a lie. His child did serially rape people, and he allowed it.
All right,
Objection.
Will you just answer the question?
Are you aware that the Burres did sue for defamation?
I was not aware of that. They haven't sued me.
Other things.
If they did sue somebody, it was
Sir,
probably
there's not a question.
There's no question. Answer the question.
I didn't ask
I was
that.
talking to him. I told him to answer the question. That's it.
All right, wow. All right. Iris?
Thank you very much. All right, based on that cross-examination,
I only have a few questions. I promise I'll be brief. Approach. Can you tell me what that is?
It looks like a higher revised code.
And I haven't seen
Oh,
what
yeah, we
was
should.
presented to the witness.
Well, you asked about it, so it's just a revised code.
If you're gonna hand something to a
I
witness to
understand.
ask,
Please don't
It's fine.
try to tell me
See
other
it.
things, okay? I'm going to tell you how to do it.
It's, I'll do it the same way.
thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Counselor.
ORC 2903.211.
Counsel asked you about that earlier. Can you read A1 for me, please?
Looks like no person by engaging in a pattern of conduct shall knowingly cause another person to believe that the offender will cause physical harm to the other person or a family or household member or the person, or cause mental distress to the other person or a family household member of the other person, in addition to any other basis for the other person's belief that the offender will cause physical harm to the other person or the other person's family or household, or mental distress to the other person or other person's family member or household member, or the other person's belief or mental distress may be based on words or conduct of the offender that are directed at or identify a corporation, association, other organization that employs the other person to which the other person belongs.
And have you directed any of your communications directly to Mr. Burre? Have you communicated any of these communications, Facebook posts, directly to his employer, Lancaster High School?
No, but I did send emails to the school board asking that the practices be stopped of leaving children alone.
Has law enforcement ever charged you with this in relation to any of your signs or any of your conduct in the last 3 years?
No, the day they came and pulled me over, they didn't even mention that it was filed against me.
Petitioner's counsel mentioned, I want to go back to the sign that seems to be bringing everyone's attention. Let's look at Exhibit 6. Oh, you have Exhibit 8 also. So we're going to look at Exhibit 6 and Exhibit 8. Just here. There's Exhibit 8. There's Exhibit 6. All right, so let's talk about these spray paint circles again. All right? You have experience with firearms, I take it.
Yes.
The petitioner mentioned you have experience with firearms, correct?
Yeah, I was very active up until 2016.
In comparison to those circles on that sign, how big is an actual bullet hole?
Very small, much smaller than those dots.
Would it be the size of this microphone?
Smaller.
Can you point to something there that might be the size of a real bullet hole?
The diameter of the cord,
Okay.
or the diameter of this, possibly.
All right. Was it your intention at all for those spray paint circles to be perceived as blood or bullet holes?
No, they were just to draw attention to the sign and fill in unused space.
I also want to ask you about lettering on your signs. There's a commonality here, and I want you to spell it out for me. I want you to look at all the signs in any exhibit that has been displayed here today and tell me what the most common color of all of your lettering is.
Red, by far, it stands out the most, especially on a whiteboard. It pops out the best.
I'll take this one back. Leave your exhibits up there. May I have the display that you used where my client marked the X on it with the GPS map? There you go. Are you familiar with this? It was showed to you earlier.
Yeah, so this would be north, west, east, and then south.
Okay, how do you know that?
I grew up in Lancaster. I'm pretty
Okay.
good.
Orient that map for me, please, and tell me how you know where you're at on that map.
So I know that 37 runs north-south. I know the high school lane runs north-south. Here's the high school. I live right over here. I used to live right over here for over a decade. So I used to jog this every day for about 11 years.
And is that an X where you put off of this map an accurate depiction of where you were standing?
Yeah, so Fair Avenue intersects Arbor Valley right about the X, and then I was off eastbound of that in a pull-off where people commonly park to use the bike path in that area, which you can see the bike path going right down through here, which is where I park.
And who approached you?
So a sheriff deputy, a female, she came out and advised that I was on school property. I was standing on the corner there, public crosswalk, when she advised that to me. And I didn't really argue with her. I just said, that's not the case. I'm not on school property. I'm on public property.
So,
But I moved.
this is a school resource officer, correct?
I didn't recognize her as a school resource officer. She looked just like this gentleman over here to me, which is a sheriff's deputy to me. So.
So you have no information to know whether he or she was a school resource officer?
No, I just know that she was a sheriff's deputy,
Okay.
probably working at the school. She asked me to move my vehicle, and I obliged and walked back over to where I was.
Council talked about, petitioner's counsel earlier talked about your signage and the signage with GPS trackers.
Mhm.
Do all your signs have GPS trackers?
No.
And on this particular occasion, which was Exhibit 6, did you, in this post, refer any of that to Mr. Burre or his family, other than the pictures of the...
No, just the pictures
Of
of
the
the
signs.
signs. And want to draw attention to the causes.
What was the purpose of this?
That was to catch thieves. That particular post I made late in the evening, a time where the thieves commonly come and steal signs, and that was to entice them to come steal that one because they had just stolen other ones from the same location.
Is Exhibit 8 and Exhibit 6 the signs, the same sign?
Yeah, that was me taking a picture, and then this was a video of me placing the GPS inside the sign.
Okay. Approximately how many of these signs with these circles do you think you've made?
Maybe a couple dozen. The only time those, I believe the only time those signs had dots put on them was when I had them all spread out across the lawn and people were coming to pick them up. And at that time, one of the kids spray painted a couple of them, and then we did the rest of them that day. But only the signs that were in my yard that day were the ones with the dots.
You were just asked about the investigators that you paid and them still working on this case. Can you say what these cases are that they're investigating?
Pretty much the cases involving the signs, anything that I'm protesting, they're looking into. They were initially hired to focus mainly on my case 08DR355, which has now moved on to the 5th District Court of Appeals. But throughout the progress of the investigation, obviously other things have come to light, other legal conflicts and issues dealing with these cases that connect them.
You were also asked about self-help and the word justice.
Mhm.
Do you consider those, the self-help and the word justice, meaning that you're going to take physical action and cause physical harm to Mr. Burre or his family?
No.
You were also asked about, did you think it was appropriate to ask kids to skip school? Have you ever asked children to skip school?
Definitely not. As a football coach, or former football coach, I would definitely encourage children to go to school prior to any other event.
In your testimony, we talked about on one of the exhibits that it wasn't written by you, that it was possibly written by the newspaper editor for the high school.
Mm-hmm.
Was that done after hours or during school hours?
That was a Monday on Martin Luther King Day, so there would have been no school in service that day.
All right. Do you encourage children to join your protest?
Yes. Well, I wouldn't say encourage. I would say welcome.
Do you encourage or ask them to do anything that would be considered illegal or violate any Ohio revised statute or code?
No, definitely not. I would do the opposite of that.
Do you get the permission of their parents before you talk to them?
Most of these kids that have contacted me haven't given me the opportunity to do that. I have spoken to a few parents who wanted to support the issues but didn't want to wear hashtags, and they asked me to get these plain armbands here that I'm wearing to help them feel more comfortable with their children participating in the protests.
And you were asked by petitioner's counsel if you thought, because of your post, if someone would just see them and automatically think it applies to them.
Yeah, these aren't directed at anybody specifically. This is more of a general awareness campaign.
When you're protesting, like you did in front of the courthouse on Martin Luther King Day, is that directed at Mr. Burre specifically or his family?
It was directed most importantly that specific day to the courthouse itself, because that's where a lot of these atrocities are taking place.
Okay.
And that's why I chose that location in front of the courthouse on that day, being it a civil rights issue on a civil rights day.
And petitioner's counsel also asked you about your issues with Miss Burre, Christy Burre.
Yeah, she was involved in children's services, taking my children several times, all resulting in me having full custody of my children.
According to petitioner's counsel, she doesn't know you.
That would be a lie.
Okay.
Just like it was a lie that he said I was a stranger in his complaint.
So if someone doesn't know you, do you think that they should have some fear of your Facebook posts?
No, that would be quite irrational for anybody to fear somebody they don't know.
Do you think that Mr. Burre is being irrational in his assumption that you're going to cause physical harm to him?
Objection. He doesn't know what Mr. Burre's thought process is.
Yeah, I'll go this a second.
So I don't answer that, right?
No, don't answer it, but I'm going to ask you a different question. Do you think Mr. Burre's rationale for associating these posts with his mental distress and the chance that you might cause physical harm or not, him not knowing what you may do you think that is rational?
I don't, and I think it's just an inflated show to compound other false allegations like the police report of the aggravated assault that he tried to press. It's just a further of that. He's just furthering it, trying to get me to incur fees. I have to pay for my own legal counsel. I have to pay for my own stuff in this, and there are much bigger fish for me to be frying in court than dealing with this stuff, and he's just trying to slow that down and tie me up.
Have you intentionally tried to violate the civil protective order, the temporary civil protective order that went in place?
No, I actually agreed to not carry weapons or drive past the school excessively during the continuation of the proceedings. I agreed to that willingly and voluntarily. So,
Petitioner's counsel asked you about what you see as the end result of this.
civil lawsuits and hopefully an actual criminal investigation into these acts.
And then if that happens, are you going to stop the cause, or are you going to continue this?
I think that if that took place and it was a real investigation by an outside agency that doesn't have a conflict of interest or color of law violation in this case, that would be outstanding and bring an end to all this. I've tried to do that.
You're, how many hours a day do you spend on Facebook?
I would say less than one.
Do you go to Mr. Burre's profile to look at posts that he makes?
All right, so we're getting outside what the cross-examination is.
All these posts, these are all Facebook posts, Your Honor. We've been here
They-
all
they
day
did-
over
they did not
Facebook
ask-
posts.
They did not ask about his Facebook usage on cross.
All right, I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Recross.
Nothing further.
All right, you may step down.
Can I say
Nope.
anything?
You may step down. All right, Mr. Curley, any other witnesses?
No other witnesses.
All right, so you're resting as well. All right, any rebuttal witnesses?
No rebuttal witnesses, Your Honor.
All right, very good. The case is submitted. So, counsel, if you please get out pen and paper, I've got some instructions for you.
Okay.
All right. If you'd like to submit written closing summations based on what you believe the evidence shows, you may do so. But I specifically would like briefing on the applicability of Bay versus Rashware to this case. That is Ohio Supreme Court case number. The citation is 2020 Ohio 3301. So again, 2020 Ohio 3301.
It was Day versus...
Bay, B-E-Y,
B-E-Y?
B-E-Y, Rashwehr, R-A-S-A-W-E-H-R. All right?
I'm sorry, can you say that last name again one more time?
R-A-S-A-W-E-H-R. It is also 161 Ohio State 3rd 79. All right? So, will you please brief the applicability of that case to this situation? Also included with that, please include what you believe would be the least restrictive means of achieving the civil stocking protective order if the court decides to grant it, which I have not decided, but if that is the decision, what would be the least restrictive means of achieving the purposes of the civil stocking protection order. Like I said, if you'd like to include in that brief your summation, written summation, you may do so as well.
And the deadline for that, Your Honor?
What's that?
The deadline?
Yes.
When,
I'd like those briefs filed no later than 4:00 p.m. on March 7th of 2024. That's 2 weeks from today. Either side may then file rebuttals to the opposing party's brief no later than 4:00 p.m. on March 14th. All right? I don't care how long the primary briefs are, but keep your rebuttal briefs to 5 pages or less. Once those have been submitted, the court will consider the evidence. Well, the court will start considering the evidence before those are submitted. But once those are submitted, the court will consider the evidence and the law and issue a written decision on this matter. Now, I can't guarantee how long that will take. This is a complicated case. I will try to get that issued as quickly as possible. Once it's issued, obviously, the judge will review it and sign off on it. Counsel will be notified via mail of the issuance of the decision. If the decision is to issue the protective order, it will be issued at the same time. In the interim, until that is issued, all temporary orders of protection remain in full force and effect. All right. Any questions or anything further, Mr. Curley?
no, just the official exhibits, just should we give them to the...
Yes, give them to the bailiff. Is 24 included in that?
It will be, Your Honor.
It wasn't moved into evidence, but the court will keep a
yeah.
copy. So,
What is it, the X? Did you take it?
The one that has the mark on it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I probably have it. Let me look.
These are the Yeah, they only get to 20. All right, so I have 17, 20,
Here you go. One with the X.
I have a sticker.
Put a sticker on 24, please.
Oh, yes.
all right. While they do that, Mr. Curley, any further questions or any other issues you'd like to raise at this time?
4, please.
So you want everything in the briefs, though? You don't want us to do, we're not going to do closing arguments.
That's it.
Okay, all right.
If you do tonight.
No other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That being it, we will conclude these proceedings today. And like I said, you will be notified via mail of the court's decision.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Under the table fist bump and out the door.